now present For the Record.
Just ahead, Wisconsin Republicans have been on a bit of a losing streak for statewide races. Can their new state chair turn that around?
I'm not coming over here to milk sacred cows. If there are things that we need to change as a party, we're going to change them.
Plus, Josh Call looks ahead to 2023 in his year-end interview.
We're going to continue working on vital priorities. Public safety is my top priority as AG.
Plus, later, another sit-down in a race that could decide control of the highest court in Wisconsin.
It was just too critically important of a seat for me to sit back and not do it.
Welcome to For the Record. I'm Naomi Coles. Mixed results in the latest midterms for Republicans come after several high-profile statewide losses over the last 4 years, especially in terms of governor and president. Now the state Republican Party will now look for a fresh start under a familiar face. Brian Schimming is well-known statewide with 30 years of experience in grassroots campaigning. Most recently, he advised Senator Ron Johnson's successful re-election campaign. He's now been elected as the Wisconsin GOP's next chair. Schimming joins me now. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for inviting me.
So as I just referenced, you know, there's been some losses in terms of the governor's race, in terms of even the president's results in Wisconsin. What's the grand strategy going forward to start building back in Wisconsin for the Republican Party?
Well, we had a lot of success this year. We added to our congressional delegation by 1, so now it's 6-2 Republican. We picked up seats in the Assembly, picked up seats in the Senate, reelected Ron Johnson against the odds, some people say. So we had a lot of success, but frankly, we had some things where we didn't get where we wanted to be in the governor's race and the AG's race. So we're conscious about that, and where I'm kind of coming into this is saying, I said the first time I spoke to the executive board, I said, look, I'm not coming over here to milk sacred cows. If there are things that we need to change as a party, we're going to change them. If there are things that we're doing great now, which we are, we're going to enhance them, but otherwise, you know, we just got to keep going. I don't spend a lot of time focusing on 2022, and the truth of it is 2022 was not like 2020 or 18 or 16, and it won't be like 2024. So my focus is to enhance the grassroots. I announced first day as party chair that we'd start doing additional in-person candidate and activist training. We're going to be doing that in 6 cities around the state. I'll be on the road almost all of January, and enhancing our finance operation to keep up with and surpass the Democrats, and really kind of get ready for a 2-year period here, Naomi, that's a U.S. Senate race in 24, presidential race in 24, and the Republican National Convention bringing 50,000 people to Wisconsin, which we're super excited about.
So you have your plate full.
I do have a full plate, that's for sure.
You mentioned finance, and that brings us to the elephant in the room of Wisconsin Democrats have outraised the Wisconsin Republican Party by massive amounts over the last little while. So how do you bridge that gap?
Yeah, it turns out the Democrats are the party of big money. But you know what? They've done it. I'll give it to them. They've done a good job over there. And the job for me, I'm essentially redoing our whole finance operation. And my kind of goal sitting here is I don't want to increase it incrementally. I want to increase it by multiples. That means raising a lot more money here in the state in different ways than maybe we've done it before. But so we're taking a hard look at operations like in finance and going, what are we doing right? What do we have to change? And go. I mean, I don't want to, you know, spend all my time kind of looking backward. It's got to be forward, and that's where we're going to take them.
When you say revamping the financial model, are you talking about more small dollar donations? I know Wisconsin Democrats have focused a lot on that, or are you talking more courting of big donors?
Yeah, we're really figuring that out, to be perfectly candid about it. We're figuring that out and how that's going to look. Certainly it's going to be a mix, as it always is. It's always a mix. I mean, the state Democratic Party was very successful in bringing out-of-state money in from Hollywood and the coast and all of that, and they raised their money. And I don't know what our plan's going to look like, but it's going to be successful. We're doing pretty well right now, but we need to do better, and that's where I'm going to take them.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the structure, right? So your counterpart over in the Wisconsin Democrat Party, Ben Wickler, makes about $200,000 a year. There was a conversation going into the chair election this past weekend of, do we pay our chair? Because under your structure, it's basically a volunteer position. What's the conversation about that going forward?
The party executive board last weekend voted to turn it into a paid position, our state chair. Traditionally, Democrats have had a paid chair for a number of years. I don't know how many years, but they've had it for a number of years. And I think because because of the demands of the job, that the party just made the decision, look, it's time. And the burden, because of politics being more complicated than before, being more full-time than before, you need a party that's full-time. So we have a terrific staff there at the party. I mean, we're blessed to have a great staff, but we need a chair that can devote all their time and not as a side job. And that's how we got to where we are.
I was reading this Cap Times editorial about your election, where their take, you read it?
I did see it.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting take. Does Schimming bring a different tone to the party, right? Do you think the Republican Party needs a different tone, a more Tommy Thompson-era tone in terms of the rhetoric, in terms of, does your party stick with Trump or find a new face going forward?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the exact tone. What I would say this is, and I appreciate the Cap Times editorial, it's very complimentary, but I will say this. I think the tone is driven by meeting the voters where they are, which Tommy Thompson was always very, very good at. It's why he had a record of long success as governor and as a public figure here in Wisconsin. So to me, at its very core, politics is a business of addition. It's not a business of subtraction. And that's always the way I've operated. I want folks to feel comfortable coming into the party. And I've flipped various office holders from Democrat to Republican over the years, have a little bit of a record of that, putting together majorities in the Assembly and even on the county board in Dane County. So that's the attitude that I take into this. And we're going to continue to do that, and I'm going to continue to be successful, accessible, and hopefully successful as the chair as well.
Last question for you. You mentioned the Senate race in 2024. Who do you put up against Senator Baldwin to flip that seat?
Well, boy, you listen to the rumor mill, and there's not a lack of candidates that I hear about on the Republican side. And frankly, I'm just happy about that. We obviously, very close race for Ron Johnson, but probably one of the more conservative candidates, Ron Johnson. He's the first Republican to get elected to more than 2 terms to the U.S. Senate in Wisconsin in 66 years. And so he provided a model for us, and I'm just, whoever that candidate ends up being, we always kind of say it's going to be a close race, and we have to take that attitude, because if you're going to win, you can't play it's too close on one end or the other. You got to go, we're going to do what it takes to win. So would love to pick up an extra U.S. Senate seat in the year that the Republican National Convention is here in Wisconsin.
Brian, thanks so much for joining the show, and good luck to you on your new appointment.
Thanks so much, and thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. All right, so up next, Josh Call sits down for an end-of-year look back.